Hello folks, welcome to this series of AWS services. In the last video, we talked about various mechanisms of import and export of your data from on-premise to cloud and vice versa. In this particular video, we are going to talk about the storage gateway. So why do we need storage gateway? To understand that even if an enterprise is going to move to the cloud, there would be a transition period, and in fact there could be a permanent necessity that there has to be some on-premise servers, and these servers are creating a lot of data. Now this data you want to move to cloud, or you want to make a copy of this data on cloud as well. But this data is basically constantly getting generated. So in that case, every time using snowballs etc. for import and export may not be a good case. So you want that as soon as your data gets generated, that should be moved to the cloud automatically and continuously. So for these things, you have got something called a storage gateway. Now in one way where a storage gateway is different from other web services is that storage gateway is basically a virtual machine that you need to install on your on-premise data centers. So basically you can go to AWS and download the virtual machine package, and then you have to install it on one of your server which is residing in your on-premise data centers. Then you have to connect it through your cloud account. So once you install the storage gateway appliance on your server on your data center, then on one hand it will be connected to the application server which is generating the data. On the other hand, it will be connected to the AWS account where it is going to upload the data. So to define the storage gateway, it's basically a virtual appliance which helps you seamlessly and securely moving your data from your on-premise to your cloud account. So since it's a virtual software appliance essentially, we also refer to it as a virtual machine image which will run on a hypervisor on a physical server sitting on your on-premise data center. So to connect to the cloud, you basically have to activate this virtual appliance, your storage gateway, with your AWS account, and then you will be good to go. So storage gateways are of multiple types. Based on the feature they provide, the kind of data they are going to store, they are divided into multiple types. So storage gateways can be used to take a backup of your flat files in your Amazon S3 bucket. It can also take snapshots of your volume and move it to EBS snapshots, which is ultimately getting stored in an S3 bucket, but that's an internal bucket of AWS, so we won't have direct access to that S3 bucket using normal AWS S3 APIs. It would be though visible as our EBS snapshot, and the way we convert from snapshot to volumes in EBS, the same thing we can apply there as well. This kind of gateway would be called volume gateway. The third type of gateway is called tape gateway. So this is used for data which is archived on your on-premise servers, and if you have to move it to the cloud, you would normally store it into your Glacier. But in all these cases, the similarity is that VM image of a storage gateway you have to download from the AWS account, install it on your on-premise server, and then connect to the cloud. So coming to the first time, which is called file gateway. File storage gateway is basically used for moving your flat files on your S3 bucket. Once you install your storage gateway, you need to provide storage volumes for your storage gateway, and these volumes can be connected through your application server, the one which is generating the data, using NFS mount point. Afterwards, whatever data is being written on the storage volume, that will be uploaded on your cloud. That would be the task of the storage gateway. All the other metadata about the file, for example ownership, the permission, etc., also go along with the files when they are moved to S3 using storage gateway. Once these objects or files are moved to S3, they can be used as a normal S3 object, which means they can be managed like any other file which has been moved to S3. So as you can see, the storage gateway is connected to those servers using NFS mount point, and the data from storage gateway to the cloud is traveling through internet. It can travel through direct connect if your data center is connected to AWS account using direct connect, or it can go through some VPN tunnels that you have established between your data center and your cloud account. Now in case of volume gateway, the difference is that volume gateway is used for storing the snapshots of the volumes. The storage mechanism on the cloud side is in form of EBS snapshot, not exactly flat files. So on your on-premise side, the data is getting generated and it is getting stored on a volume. That volume is basically connected to your storage gateway, and then the storage gateway will keep on taking the snapshot of that volume and keep on sending it to your AWS account. On your AWS account, the snapshot of these volumes gets stored in form of EBS snapshot. Now as you understand that EBS snapshots are also ultimately stored in the S3 bucket. But again, as I mentioned, these EBS snapshot, though stored on S3 bucket, we won't have direct access to them using S3 APIs. We would be able to see it in under our EBS snapshot, and then we can convert it into EBS volume, etc. But we won't be able to use them as an S3 object. Now, the snapshot that the storage gateway takes, these are basically incremental snapshot, which means once a snapshot is uploaded to AWS account, then in the next cycle, only the changed part, the incremental part, would be taken and sent to the cloud. These snapshots are basically compressed, they are encrypted to make it more secure. These snapshots are basically compressed to minimize the cost, and they are also encrypted to make it more secure. Now, volume gateway again are of two types. First of it is called cache storage, and the second is called volume store. So the difference being that in cache store, all the data is moved to the cloud. Only recently accessed data is kept with your storage gateway on your on-premise sites. So there will be few SAN disks, which is also called storage area network disk, basically where you normally store your data on your on-premise. But this number of SAN disks would be fewer because you just need to store only recently or frequently accessed data. Rest every data is moved to your cloud. This we are talking about cached volume gateway. So similar to another type of volume gateway is stored volume gateway. The difference here being that in stored volume, one copy of your data is kept on SAN disks which are there in your on-premise data center. Only the backup of all these volumes is sent to the AWS cloud. So basically, one copy of data resides on your on-premise and one copy of data is sent to the AWS cloud. That's our stored volume gateway. So this is done so that you can also get low latency. For every kind of data, you don't have to go to the cloud and fetch it. And on the other hand, you also get a cheaper backup in form of putting your data on cloud. Now, the storage gateways are attached to your application servers by using iSCSI protocol. iSCSI basically is a storage network standard which uses TCP/IP protocol for connecting storage devices. So remember, this is one of the difference from your file gateway. In file gateway, you use NFS. In storage gateway, we use iSCSI. The third type of gateway is tape gateway. Now, tape gateway is used for moving the archived data to your cloud. So on-premise, you may be using various kind of applications to archive your data in form of tapes. Now that can be moved to the cloud and gets stored in the Glacier. So you can use tape gateway for that. In tape gateway, there are two main components. You have got tape drive and media managers. From the storage perspective, you have got cache storage and upload buffer within the tape storage gateway. So cache storage is basically a durable storage within the storage gateway, and upload buffer is basically an intermediate area where the data is kept before it gets uploaded to your S3 bucket or to your Glacier. So tape gateway is basically very much interoperable with other archiving applications, for example net backup, VM, backup exec, etc. that helps you moving your archive data to your cloud services. So to summarize it once again, we use file gateway to normally move your flat files to something like S3 bucket on AWS. You use volume gateway to take snapshot of your volume storage and move it to the cloud, and you store it there in form of EBS snapshots. And we use tape gateway to move archived data from on-premise servers to storage services like S3 or Glacier. So that's all we have in storage gateways. If you've got any queries, please write to us in the discussion box and we'll get back to you. See you soon in the next video. Thank you for watching.